guys, welcome back to the Esther Effect. Today, I just wanted to share with you something that the Lord is doing in my life and at our school. I think a lot of people have gone through this process at LCU, and the Lord is using them mightily, and they're learning all these things that the Lord wants to do in their life, and the Lord is pulling out gifts and talents that they never even knew that were there. Sometimes they knew, but then they find new things that the Lord wants to use in them and just talk through them. I think of a couple of the things like that the Lord was just sharing with me that I was just like, well, I feel like you said this, but not really sure, or not knowing what to do with that, or not knowing how it's going to turn out, but just knowing that He said it, and still wanting to ask for confirmations and wanting to get prophetic words like, is this really what you called me to do? And is this what I do after LCU? And I feel like a lot of people, that's kind of a lot of people are kind of going through that same mindset and thinking these same things. And that's exactly, sorry for the shaking, and that's exactly with like what Ben talked about today, Pastor Ben. Today, Dr. Carey, when we went in the main session, he talked about the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. We can start there. Caleb's going to read it since I'm driving.
This story is found in Matthew 14, and I'm just going to read it to you. It says, Now when it was evening, starting verse 15, sorry. Now when it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, This is a desolate place, and the day is now over. Send the crowds away to go into the villages and buy food for themselves. But Jesus said, They need not go away. You give them something to eat. And they said to him, We have only 5 loaves here and 2 fish. And he said, Bring them here to me. Then he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass and take the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. He looked up to heaven and said a blessing. Then he broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds. And they all ate and were satisfied. And they took up 12 baskets full of broken pieces left over. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children.
Thanks, Caleb. So I just felt when he showed us that verse, and then right after that, Dr. Carey said that the Lord was just saying to us to just bring to Him what we have, and then He'll multiply it. And I think a lot of times the Lord will give them this humongous word, and it looks like as big as the world and as big as eternity, and they're so frustrated about how is this going to happen. And so at first you're like, okay, well, I'll just put that on the shelf. But then there comes a time like finishing ministry school, or you're done with one season of your life and you're moving on into this next season, and you're like, well, Lord, you said this and I'm not seeing anything of what you said, but I know that you said this, or I think that you said this, but now it seems like maybe you didn't even say that because I'm not seeing it. Well, what the heck, God? Like, I know that you're big. And I think one thing, I was talking to one of my friends like recently, was that, and I feel like a lot of pastors have said this, like, don't go by your circumstances of what you have and haven't seen, but just go back to the root and to the basis of who God is and who He says He is about Himself. And that is where you can base the prophecy and the word of the Lord about your life, because not by the circumstance of not seeing it, but He says He is who He is who He says He is, and that He's the promise keeper, and He makes the way.
So one thing along those lines of what she's saying about maybe you're going through a circumstance where you feel God's spoken to you something, and everything around you seems to be saying that that's not going to happen. Everything in your circumstance seems to be pointing towards the opposite. In that season where it may be discouraging and it may be frustrating, change your focus to put your faith in Him and not in the outcome. Because sometimes we'll take a promise from God and we'll be looking at the outcome and wondering, when is the outcome going to happen? When is this solution going to happen? God said this was going to happen. And we're putting our faith in the result. And so the process leading to the result becomes really discouraging and really frustrating. But if we put our faith in Him, trusting that He's the one who spoke it, so He's the one that's going to make it come to pass, then no matter where you're at in the process, your eyes are still fixed on the one thing that's going to keep you encouraged. And that's His voice and what He's saying to you in the moment. And so don't get discouraged if you're in a season where you're not quite seeing the promises of God. Just continually trust and know that you can't miss it. Because even if, let's just say, you heard from God, or you think you heard from God, and you're not sure whether or not it was from you, or whether it was from the soul, or from whatever it is that you're going through, know that you still were willing to take a step of faith, and that's going to grow you. That's going to grow you inside to grow into the character of Christ, which is the faithful one. And so just continually keep pushing through, continually go through those trials, go through those times and those seasons where it seems difficult, because it's going to grow patience in you, it's going to grow faith in you, and you're going to be encouraged at the end, trusting that God is faithful and he will make the things that he promised you come to pass.
And I think the biggest thing I wanted to bring home was that just bring him what you have. And I think a lot of times it just looks so big, but bring to him what you have. And the reason that the Lord is speaking to you about something is because you already have something to offer, because he made you to have something. He doesn't make you we're called to grow into the person that the Lord has, that is the fullness, and to look like him. Because when we're first born, we look like him in image, but we don't look like him in who we are, in our spirit. So he's calling us to look like him, but he gives us initially some measure of faith that we can give him, and he'll grow that. He grows that, and he can expand it and make it bigger and bring it to the full picture of what he's calling you to. I just kept hearing it over and over in my head from Dr. Carey. Just bring me what you have, and I will multiply it. That's all you have to do, and take that first step, and that's it. And don't worry about what's around the corner. Just take the first step. Yeah. Hope this encourages you. Have a good day.